Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's tutorial we're going to create a very interesting project. So I have this image right here, so you can see this image right here. So this image is just a text image, right, from the very famous popular book Rich Dad Poor Dad. So what I want to do is I want to create a project that can be able to read this text and then translate the text into an audio file for us. So how do you do that? And to do that, you're going to use computer vision for this project. So you're going to use computer vision to read this text, and after reading the text, you're going to convert the text into an actual soft copy of the text, and then we'll use Google's text-to-speech library to convert the text into a speech. So let me just try to demonstrate to you what I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to run my program, and one thing you notice when I run the program, you won't hear any sound because I'm actually connected to my microphone and I don't have good gadgets for making this kind of videos. But yeah, that's it. And if you're new to the channel, kindly consider subscribing, liking this video, and sharing with your friends and other people that might find the video helpful. That will help the channel, and I can get better equipment for this. So I'm just going to run it, and when I run it, it's just going to read the text and then display it on the screen. But if you run the program on your local machine, it should actually read the text and then activate your speaker and then read out the text verbally, okay? But in this case, it's just going to it's going to create an audio file, and I'm going to play that audio file. And even if I play the audio file, you guys won't be able to hear the audio file. So I'm just going to run this. So once I'm running it, you can see that it converted the text right here into the image right here into
Rich Dap Poor Dap summary. Have a clear purpose in mind. Be in control over your emotions. Work to learn. Don't work to earn. Listening is more important than talking. Failure inspires winners and defeats losers. Do not simply aim for more income. Aim for more assets. You will become what you study. So choose your study materials carefully. For most people, their profession is their income. For rich people, their assets are their income.
So you can see it has read all that text and is converting the text into a simple mp3 file. So you can go into your folders and find that mp3 file. So you can see we're using optical character recognition. So you can see it's identifying each of these texts, and it's converting taking the text and converting it into soft copy, which is this text right here. And afterwards it's going to use that data to create a text to a speech image using the Google text to speech library in Python. So yeah, that's basically it. So I'm just going to quit for now, and later on I'm going to attach the audio file to it so that you guys could hear that. Okay, so this is the file that you're going to use, and translate this into a text file using computer vision. Get the text from this image using computer vision, and then change that text into an actual audio file that you can listen to. So it's just like creating an audio book out of an image file. So something very similar to that. So let's get started to it. So you're going to be using this. I'm going to use this my repository. So if I do an ls, I'm just going to activate my virtual environment. And if you don't know how to create a virtual environment, you can watch my other tutorials. I create virtual environment all the time. So I have my virtual environment activated, and I'm going to change my directory into optical character recognition _ Python folder, and in there I have just simply two images. So let me just bring back my file. So you can see I have these two images, the one for the rich dad poor dad text, and then this other one right here. And this other one you're simply going to use it for testing purposes. So this is it right here. And later on, at the end of the project, we'll create a program that can actually identify the text and then convert the text into an audio file, kind of similar to an audiobook. Okay, so let's get started. So to do this, the library we're going to be using, the first thing we have to install is going to be called Tesseract. So this is a Tesseract official documentation. So if you know what Tesseract is, it's just an optical character recognition library. So you need to install this on your local machine. So for Linux users, you just have to copy these commands and paste it in your terminal, and that will get Tesseract installed on your machine. For Mac, if you're on a MacBook, the command, and if you're on different versions of Linux, you can just go and read the official documentation. It's just Tesseract -org, you can search it on Google, and then you get the official documentation, so you can read it based on your operating system. If you're on the MacBook, you can install this using Homebrew, so you can just install this using Homebrew if you're on a MacBook. If you're on Windows, it's a bit little tricky to get Tesseract installed. So the first thing you have to do is actually go this part of the documentation and then click on the downloads, and this will bring you the download page. So you just, on the downloads page, you just follow the instructions to download the file, and once it's done, we'll also need to install other libraries. So for Windows users, kindly make sure that you download this, read the documentation, and then download this. For Linux, I'm on a Linux books, and then I don't have a Windows machine to show you how to do this, so just have to read the documentation for yourself. Okay, and same for guys who are on the MacBook. And once you have Tesseract installed, I already have it installed on my machine. So once you also need to install Tesseract. So Tesseract is just a wrapper around the Tesseract library. So you just need to copy this, and then make sure your virtual environment is activated, and then just paste this right here and install this into your virtual environment. While that is installing, let's go also on to one more library that you need to install. We need to install Pillow. If you don't know what Pillow is, or Pillow is just a library in Python that is used for image manipulation and stuff like that. So whenever you want to work with images in Python, you probably want to go for Pillow. So I'm just going to go ahead and install Pillow as well. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste this, and also have that installed. So Pillow is already installed on my virtual environment. Also, one thing we need to do, we need to play the sound at the end of identifying the text and then reading the characters from it using character recognition technology. Now we need to convert the text into an MP3 file, which is going to be the audio version of the file. So you are going to use this library called play sound. Okay, so just going to copy this, go into my terminal, and then I make sure that I have play sound installed. Sometimes if you're installing play sound, it might give you an error saying that you need to install Python object something. Make sure that you also have that installed. Okay, once that's done, you also need to install the gTTS library. So gTTS stands for Google Text to Speech Library. So it's just a library in Python that can convert a text into speech. It was created by Google. So thanks for Google for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and install this as well. I think we are almost done. And yeah, you also need to have OpenCV installed. So make sure that you have OpenCV installed, and also make sure that you have NumPy installed. Okay, just you might use NumPy, so make sure that you have OpenCV -Python installed on your machine. So once we have all those libraries installed, I can just go ahead and begin to code. So I think the best thing to do is I'll just bring you back to the Tesseract official documentation. So we need to import just go back here. We need to import this. So I'm just going to go ahead and import Tesseract. So we have to import Tesseract, and one thing you also need to do, you have to specify the location where you have your Tesseract installed. So once for guys who are on Windows, you have to read this documentation, and once you install it, once you download it, make sure that you click the executable and install it as well. So you just have to read the official documentation. I don't have a Windows machine to demonstrate this to you. Okay, so you just click on the downloads page and you read the instructions right here. Okay, so if you're done installing it, it will probably be found in the I think C, and then program file. So you can see even documentation, it gives you an example of where you can find this file. So make sure that you have that file. You specify the path to that installation file, executable file. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. You're going to import Tesseract. So I'm just going to go here and just create a file, file. I'm going to call it basics.py. And inside there, what I'm simply going to do, I'm going to go ahead and simply paste that code. I'm also going to import Pillow. Okay, so I'm going to say from Pillow import image. Okay, just like that. So once we have this imported, what you're simply going to do, you're going to say, let me just take you back to the official documentation. It has everything that you need actually. So what we're simply going to do in here, we're going to go ahead and specify the path to that image to the Tesseract image that you want, and you can see it is right here. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to copy this and then go back here and then simply paste it in here. So what you have to change is you have to change what is inside. You have to make this to be the path to your executable. And for Windows, they gave an example where you could probably find it. So it's probably in program files. But for Linux, I'm on Linux machine, and for maybe also for MacBook, it might be a bit different. So for my machine, what I have to do is I have to simply delete this, and I have to say /users user /bin / and then I have to say tesseract just like that. So this is where it can be found on a Linux machine. For a MacBook, it might be different, and for a Windows machine, it's probably found in the C and then program file. So just do your research to see where you can find that. Okay, so once we have this done, we can just simply go ahead. I'm simply going to go ahead and convert the image into a simple string. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead, copy this part of the code, and then I'm just going to paste it here. So now I'm just going to be using this image. You're trying to identify the characters inside of this image, so I'm going to go ahead and simply pass in here image. Okay, so I'm just going over the basics. That's why I'm just copying pasting the code so we don't waste time, and then go into the project later on, just in a few seconds. So once we have this done, we can go ahead and actually run this. So make sure you have Pillow imported, and you also have Tesseract imported, and you have specified the path to your Tesseract that you have just installed, downloaded. For Windows, you have to download and install it. So once we have that, I can just do Python 3 and then basic, run that. If you're on Windows, it's gonna be Python, but if you're on MacBook, you can say it's Python 3. If you're on Linux, it's also Python 3. So you can see this is the first line of this text example. This is the second line of the same text. So where is this coming from? Okay, this is actually coming from the image right here. So you can see it identified all the characters inside of the image, and it simply printed them out right here. So you can see the text. I hope you can see it in the background. This actually is the same content inside of this text right here, inside of the image right there. So it identifies all the text inside of the image. So it's that simple to do. You can also do different things. You can convert into a string. You can do a lot of things you can do with it. So for now, we're just going to keep things simple. You can also get the bounding boxes if you want, and we're going to use the bounding boxes for our project. So you can just let me just copy this and paste it right here so you don't waste time. So I'm just going to paste it right here, and I'm going to change this into my image .png. Okay, so this is going to simply print for me the bounding boxes around each that you can bounding box data that you can use to draw bounding box around each of those images. So if I run this, it should print for me the details of the bounding box. So you can see for the letter T, which is the first letter here, you can see it provides the X, the Y, the width, and then the height. So you can use this information to draw a bounding box around our text later on, as we will see. One thing you also do, you can convert this into data. So you can just go, let me just show you, can convert this straight into data. So it gives you the confidence, the line, the page number, and other stuff like that. So you're going to see this later on in depth. So I'm just running things to demonstrate things to you. Later on, we'll see this much more in depth, and we'll use these concepts to create our project. So just save time, I'm just going to copy and paste them. So you can see it can also give you a lot of things about a given text, and you're going to use all this data in our project. So let's get started. So to do this, I'm simply going to create another file. I'm going to call it project _01.py. And in project 01.py, what we're simply going to do is, first of all, we need to have all our libraries imported. So let's go ahead and actually create that. So we have project.py. You can also create this file just by using this command right here, this button right here. So I'm just going to open up this. So we need to import OpenCV. So I'm going to import CV2. So once I have CV2 imported, I'm also going to go ahead and import Tesseract. Let me just copy this and just save time. So I'm going to copy all of this, and simply paste it here. I'm also going to go ahead and import from gTTS, which is a Google text-to-speech library. I'm going to import gTTS, just like that. And I'm also going to go ahead and say from sound, import play sound, just like that. So once we have all our imports done, what you're simply going to do is go ahead and first of all you're just going to read the image and display it using OpenCV. So I'm going to say image equals to cv2.imread, and you're going to go ahead and read the image. I'm going to read image.png, just like that. So once we have the image read, I can simply go ahead and actually use the demonstrate some convert the image rather into an RGB, because by default CV2 uses the BGR scale. So what you're going to use is the RGB scale, so you need to convert this. So you need to say cv2.cvt color, and you need to provide in our image source, and then we need to say we need to simply say cv2.color, and for the color you're going to say underscore BGR to RGB, just like that. So once we have the image converted into an RGB scale just by using this line, what you can simply do is go ahead and demonstrate display that image. So you can just do cv2.imshow, and then you say I'm going to give you a window, a title. I'm going to say image, and then we're going to display that image right there. So if I run the program, it's just going to read our image, convert it into RGB scale, and then display to the end user. So I'm also going to have a command to quit this if I want. So I'm going to say if cv2.wait key, and I'm going to pass in 0 and 0 xff equals ord, and then I'm going to say quit. What you're simply going to do, this means that if a person press the quit the Q key on your keyboard, what you want to do is cv2 destroy all windows. So you want to destroy all our windows, means you want to close our application basically. So this is going to help us to close the image when we have it open. So this is going to open the image, and this we can close it. So this is going to read the image, convert into a RGB scale, display to the display the image, and then this can help us quit the image by simply pressing the Q key on your keyboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually run this again. So I'm going to Python 3 project, and if you're on Windows, is Python and not Python 3. Okay, I believe also on Mac you can use Python if you yeah, also that's possible on Mac, but you can use Python 3 on Mac as well. So you can see this, it has displayed the image right here. So I'm just going to press the Q key, and that gets quitted. So great. So once we have that done, what I want to do, the first thing I want to do is actually identify the text inside of the image, and then draw a bounding box around the text. So I showed you the details we can use to draw a bounding box, right? You can use all these details to draw a bounding box around our image. So let's go ahead and try to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to get all the boxes, and to do that I'm going to just go in here, and we can actually get from here. So I'm just going to copy this, right? So copy all of that. I'm just going to copy that and simply move it here. So great. Once we have that done, we can now we have the image read already, so you don't have to actually say you don't have to actually use pilot to read that. You can just go ahead and specify your image in there directly, because you have the image read using OpenCV. So once we have that, what this is going to return to us all the boxes which are this data right here. It's going to return to us this data, and this is going to be the X, the Y, the width, and then the height of the image. Okay, so we're going to use that to draw a bounding box around our image. So let's go ahead and try to do that. So I'm just going to go into a for box in boxes dot split split lines. So we're going to split the lines, and then for each of those you're going to do box equals to box dot split line dot split. You're going to simply split the text, and you're going to split basing on the space. So if you look at the text, the value that it returns here, there is a space between each of those. So we're going to split it based on a space, and it's going to return to us a simple list. So you can actually go ahead and print box. So let's run the program and let's see what we get. So I'm just going to clear the terminal and run this again, and this is going to return to us all of this. So you can see for T, the X, the Y, the height, and the width of that image. Okay, so you can see all that data right there. So what I want to do right now, let me just bring back the image and press Q to quit that. So what we want to do now that we have it, we want to get the X, the Y, and the height, the width and the height from the image. So just So I'm going to say x, y, width and height, and this is going to be equals to the following. So I'm going to use a list comprehension. Going to convert all that value into an integer. So I'm going to go through and say for x in box, for x in box, now I want from the first index to the fourth index, right? So I have to use 5 here because the 5 will be ignored. So I want from this index until this index. These are the x, the y, the height, and the width, and then the height of that image. So those are the values that I want. So once we have this done, what you can simply go ahead, you can actually go ahead and actually print this if you want: x, y, height, and width, and then the height. So if you print this, it's just going to return to you the x, y. So I'm just going to comment out this print statement right here, and then clear the terminal, run this again. So you can see we have those values right here. Great. So once we have those values, I want to use those values to get the pixel values of from the image, because these are just the coordinates. I want to actually get the pixel values, and with the help of the pixel values, we can actually use that to draw bounding boxes. So I'm going to say image underscore height, image underscore width, and then the image underscore the channel is going to be image dot shape, just like that. So it's going to return to us it's going to return to us the height of the image, the width of the image, and then the channels, like how many channels are there. In this case, there's an RGB an RGB image, so it's going to have the red channel, the green channel, and then the blue channel. But you're not interested in this channel for now. We just want the pixel values for this, and we use that along with this these coordinates to draw the bounding boxes. So to draw the bounding boxes, I'm going to use CV2 dot rectangle. I'm going to use a rectangle. So rectangle, yeah, and I'm going to draw the rectangle on my image, and I'm going to specify the coordinates. So I'm going to simply say image underscore height minus the width. So we usually use the x and y here, but in this case this library doesn't return to the Tesseract, Tesseract library doesn't return to us the actual value. So you have to do some math here. You have to take the image height minus the y. Okay, just something a bit confusing, something that I found really confusing when I started running Tesseract. Anyway, in here I'm going to specify image underscore height minus the width. Okay, sorry, minus the height of the image. So in here most of the time we usually do x plus width, and then y plus width, but here in here, due to the what Tesseract return, this is what you have to specify. And then you have to specify the color. I'm just going to use a red color, okay, BGR, and then I can specify specify 1 for the thickness. So once we have that done, this is going to go ahead and actually draw a rectangle around each of the identified characters. So let's go ahead and try to run this. So clear the terminal and then run this again, and let's see what we get. So we don't actually get any we don't actually get the text being printed here. So what's up? So let me just go ahead and quit this, and let's go back to the code and see why we didn't get that. So for these values, we're saying image height minus the width of the image, image height minus the y value, and then the width minus the h value, and then the RGB there. So we can see that I actually got an error, so I took some time to try to think about the error. So the reason why we aren't getting anything being displayed on the image is that I actually kept this code right here. So I'm actually displaying the image before drawing the rectangle on the image. So my bad for that. I took some I just figured it out just right now, so sorry for that. So you have to move the we have to draw the image before displaying the image. Before we're displaying the image without actually drawing on it. That's why we're getting this error. So I just took some time to figure it out, and now we can go back and run the code again. So just run the code again, and this time hopefully we're supposed to get the text around each character. So you can see on each character we have the text there, so it's identifying each of those characters properly. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to quit, press Q to quit that. So what I want to do, I want to now put the letter that it identifies on the image itself. So I'm going to save it to put text, and put text on the image, and then you have to specify the location. So now which text do we want to put? So if I go back and print boxes, I'm just going to comment this out for now. If I print out boxes, let's see what we get. So I'm just going to go back in here and run that code. So you can see we get the letters for each of those as the first element of that, the first index of the list that we get back. So I want to use that and use display it on the image right here. So let me just do that. So go back in here and then uncomment this out, and then I'm going to comment out this, and then I'm going to say box, and I'm going to get the index 0. So what I simply want to do is let me just so I want to put box there, so I don't have to put this in parentheses, so let me just get rid of that. So now I have to specify the starting position. It's going to be x, and then it's going to be image image underscore height minus the y axis, and then you can also specify maybe plus 20, just to give it a bit of spacing right there. Yeah, that's what we can do. And then we can specify the font, so we can do cv2 dot font, and we can use any font. And the scaling of the font, I can just use 0.5, and then the color, so I can just go 0,255, just a red color, because the CV2 follows the BGR scale instead of the RGB. Okay, so once I have this there, I can just go ahead and actually run this one more time. So if you didn't make any errors, now you should see the text being displayed on the image. So you can see right here the text being displayed, but the text isn't big, so you can see a line is displayed here, off gets displayed here, line displayed here, second displayed here, and other things like that. This image is not so big, so it doesn't really appear well, but you can see most of that is being displayed properly. So you can find a bigger image and then work with that, but we can see the proof of the concept, and it gets displayed. So great. So in our test script, we are also able to display the different characters, the different words, rather than just characters. Okay, so what we are interested in is to display the different words, and then use that functionality to be able to convert the words into a text, an audio file, and then listen to that audio file, or play that audio file back to the user. So you just show the display an image, and then that image gets converted into text, and that text gets converted into an audio file which you can listen to, right? So I'm just going to copy this for now, and then go back to our project. So now you can see how we can identify characters. So I'm just going to go ahead and I can comment this out. Okay, so I'm just going to comment all of this out, or you can actually just leave it somewhere, or you can actually, the best thing to do, I think, convert this into a function and then use that function elsewhere. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is now identify each of those words in there, and then use that for something else. So I'm just going to get all those words. So I'm going to say boxes, and this is going to be tesseract.image to data. So getting each of those image to data. So if I so I believe it's here with this this part. So we're going to return to us something like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually write a for loop to get each of those individual rows. Okay, so I'm going to say for I comma box in enumerate. So we're going to enumerate all of this. The reason we're going to enumerate is that we want to skip the first index. We want to skip the first index, which is this part here. I don't want it. I just want to skip over it. In enumerate boxes dot split lines, just like that. Make sure I call this. So boxes or split lines, and what we want to do in here is simply go ahead and actually we can just print. We can just go ahead and print box out. So that's all we want to do, print out box. But now before we do that, I have to bring this down here. So I'm going to copy this and simply move it here. Okay, so it's at the very bottom. So now I have that. I can just go ahead and actually clear the terminal and run that, and let's see what we get. So image is not defined, so let's see why image is not defined. Okay, I think I copied the wrong code, so I'm just going to undo that. What I want to do is actually this part of the code right here. So I commented it out, but I want to copy this part of the code. I'm just going to cut it and simply move it to the very bottom here. So paste it. So because this helps us to display the image and listen for the Q button being pressed and then quit. Okay, so just clear that, and then I'm going to run this one more time. So you can see it displays all of this right here. So we're going to go ahead and skip the first line of this. Okay, and that's why we are using enumerate, because we want to skip the first line of that output. So we're going to say let me just comment this out. We're going to say if I equals 1, I think I should be 0. If that's true, because it's the first line, we're going to continue. We're not going to process anything. Okay, this is going to go to the next iteration. Else, what we're going to do is in box is going to be boxes box sorry, this is going to be box dot split, and instead of this split it, we're not going to specify what to split it on. It's going to automatically identify what to split the data on. Okay, so we're going to say if length the length of the box, if the length of the box equals to 12. And why am I checking if the length of the box is 12? So let me just print box here. So I'm just saying print box. Okay, so for now let me just comment this out, and let's just print the box and see what we get back. So I'm just comment this out and then run the code again. So clear terminal and run the code again. So you can see we have this data right here, and we have managed to skip the first line. Okay, so what we simply want to do in here is, you can see there's some boxes that exist, and these boxes are just the spaces right here. So what I want to do right now is simply go ahead and actually get just this line, the ones that contains text inside of them. I don't want the spaces, and you can see the ones that contain text inside of them have a longer index, have a larger index compared to them. And if you count, this is going to be 0, 1, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you have a length of 12, right? That's why we're checking for 12, because we want to get only the list that have the words contained inside of them. Like this, you can see the words contained, but this has 11 and it doesn't have any words inside of them. It's just a blank space, so we don't want the blank spaces. That's why I'm checking if the length is 12. And if the length is 12, I'm just going to comment this out for now. If the length is 12, what do you want to do? What you want to simply do is get the x, the y, and the width. So I'm just going to go, I actually did it right here, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and then I'm simply going to go ahead and paste it here. So I want to get the x, the y, and then the width. But coming back to this code, right, you can see the x starts from here, so it starts from here, right? Let me just go the list that have the word. So you can see it starts from here, the x, the y, the width, and the height, right? I think that the x, the y, the width, the height. So from there, let's see, this is going to be, let's start counting. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So this is the x, the y, the width, and then the height of that specific image. Okay, so once we want to do here is to get those specific values out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get those values out. So I'm just going to go in here into my terminal, into my VS Code, and I'm going to specify here I want from index 6, so I'm going to change this to 6 until index 10. Okay, so then this will be 10, and then you can do the counting for yourself. It's going to be index 6, index 7, and then the 8, 9, right? Since we want until 9, we have to keep 10 because the last index here will be excluded. So we can go ahead and actually print the x, the y, and then the h. Okay, we are converting all of that into an integer as well. So let's go, sorry, this is supposed to be width and then the height. So once we have that, we can just actually, yeah, we can just go ahead and actually run the code. So I'm just going to clear the terminal and then run this one more time, so you can see we can get those sorry, let me just make this bigger. We can get those values right here. So great, everything works. So I'm just going to quit and then clear the terminal. So that now that we have the x, the width, the x, the y, the width values, what I want to simply go ahead and do right now is to use those values to draw a rectangle. So you can just go back and copy this code right here. So I'm just going to go ahead, copy this line, and then move down here and simply paste this line. So what I want to do in here, what I want to specify in here, I want to specify the x, the y, and then the width. But this time around, it's very strange. We don't actually have to do this because Tesseract actually returns to us the real x, y, x and y values along with the width value. So you have to say x and y, and then in the second point you have to say x plus width, and then here you have to say y plus height. You have to say that because this time it returns to us the actual value. So once we have that done, that's all we need. Okay, that's all we need to get this done. So let's go ahead and actually run the code and let's see what we get. But this time it's going to return to us each of those individual words. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and actually run this. Instead of returning to us the text, it's going to return to us the words. Okay, so you can see we draw a bounding boxes around each word. So you can see this is a word and it has a bounding box around it. East is a word and has a bounding box around it. First is a word and has a bounding box around it. So everything works. So once we have that done, what I want to do right now is I want to put the text around the image. So I'm going to do cv2 dot you can just say put text, and you have to put text on the image, and then you also specify which text you want to keep. So I want to keep the text, and the text, if you just go back here, you can see that the words are actually on at this index. So you can see this is 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So at index 11, that's where the word is. So I'm going to get index 11. It's already a string, so I don't need to convert it back into a string. Specify the x and then the y. For the y, I can just go ahead and add to it 30, because I don't want it to be I want it to be displayed a bit lower. And then I can just go ahead and specify this is going to be cv2, the cv2 dot font. I can use any font I want, and I'm going to say the font scale is 0.5, and then the color, I'm just going to make it red again, 0.255. So that's a red color because it's a BGR scale and not the RGB scale. Okay, that's something that is really confusing to a lot of people. So once I have that done, I can just go ahead and simply run the code, and let's see what we get. So clear the terminal and run the code again. So I can see I have the text right here, I have the image right here, and below each of the identify words we have put the words there. So you can see this is the time, the first line of blah blah blah, and you can see everything works as expected. Great. So what I want to do right now is go ahead and just go into my VS Code. What I want to do right now is get all the words and then add them up into a little sentence. So let me just reduce the spacing here. So I'm going to create a variable up here. I'm going to call it sentence, and this is just going to be an empty string for now. Okay, so for each time I'm just going to go for each time a word is identified, what I simply want to go ahead is actually actually let's just say sentences, sentence plus equals to, and then box. I want to get the word that has been identified, and then after I add the word, I want to a space, because later on you're going to add the next word. So before the next word, you want a space right there. So what I can do, I can just do print, and I can go ahead and print that sentence out. Great. So I can go in the terminal and then simply do run the code again, and let's see what we get. So you can see it printed out the whole word here. So this is the first line of the text example, this is the second line of the same text. So you can see it says the same thing, but it converted it, it identified all of this text and then simply printed it out here in the terminal. So once we have that working, now we have to now simply do convert the text into an image, into an audio file, and you're going to, that's where we're going to use the play audio and the gTTS library, Google Text to Speech library. Okay, so it's very simple to do. So let's go down here and let's do that here. So I'm just going to say sound. I'm going to go with sound. I'm going to say sound is going to be I'm going to say gTTS, and gTTS, what I'm going to say, we're going to specify the text, and the text is going to be our sentence, right? So sentence, and then the language, I can just specify lang is lang, just like this, yeah. And the language, I can just specify the language to be English, EN, I think, yeah, EN is English, yeah. So you can go ahead and actually read the documentation for this. There are many languages that are supported, but I'm going to use English in this video because our text is English, by the way. So I'm going to say sound.save, and I'm going to save it as sound.mp3. Okay, I'm going to use an mp3. So now that I have the sound saved, so this is going to convert the sound into a text, and then I'm going to save it into an mp3 file. Now I can go ahead and actually play that sound. So I'm going to play the sound, and I'm going to say specify the file that I want to play. So I'm going to say sound.mp3. So this is going to now play that sound, and it's going to open up our speakers and play that sound. But when I run this, since I'm connected with my microphone, it's not going to display any sound. But trust me, it's going to display. It's going to say not actually display sound. It's going to produce a sound. You can try this out; it will work. Trust me. I'm actually going to put the audio file attached to the video when I'm editing the video. So, yeah. So I can just simply go ahead and simply run this. So I'm going to run this. So you can see in the background an mp3 file just popped up. So this is the mp3 file right here. So it's created the audio file for us. So I'm going to attach that audio file to it. So once it's done reading and converting it to sound, it goes ahead and displays the image right here. And you can display the image before do this if you want. Also after the sentence, you want to display the image, and you want to display the image and then the sentence, and then do the conversion into an audio file. So one thing you can also do, I have this image, this file right here is just a file from the famous book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay, just some tips from that book. And if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend this book. It's a really interesting book if you are interested in finance and how to manage money and stuff like that. Rich Dad Poor Dad is just a great book to read. So I'm just going to say image 2, and this is going to be a JPG image. So it's going to read that and then convert that into a soundtrack that we can listen to. So I'm just going to go ahead and quit this and then go to the terminal, clear this, and I'm going to run this one more time. So it's going to take some time to display. Okay, yeah, so here you go, but it's not properly displaying the image. I think I made an error right here, so let's just wait for it to be done. I think I can quit it right here. So let me just go into my terminal in here. Okay, great. I think I know where my my error is. So this is supposed to be image, right? The image that we read and not the path to that image. That's why we're getting that error, because we read the image here, so we have to specify the image, right, and not the path to that image, which was previously this image. Now we don't want that image, instead we want this image, so we have to specify the image object here that we read using OpenCV. So once we have that, let's try this one more time, and hopefully no more errors. So great, you can see it identified all the text, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and is putting all the text here, and it's going to convert all this text into an mp3 file that is going to save as sound.mp3. And you can see the text has been, everything has been converted amazingly. So I'm going to attach the audio so that you guys can listen to it.
Rich Dap Poor Dap summary: have a clear purpose in mind. Be in control over your emotions. Work to learn. Don't work to earn. Listening is more important than talking. Failure inspires winners and defeats losers. Do not simply aim for more income. Aim for more assets. You will become what you study. So choose your study materials carefully. For most people, their profession is their income. For rich people, their assets are their income.
So now that's done, you can see it works perfectly fine. So it just providing an image, it will translate the image, read the text from the image using optical character recognition using the Tesseract library, and then use the Tesseract library, which is also a wrapper around the Tesseract, and then from there it's going to convert that into an audio file that you can listen to. So you can actually use this program to create an audio book or something, application to create an audio book. So it is maybe pass in a PDF. I think you can also read from PDF, I'm not really sure. You can just pass in an image file, read the content, and then display it. You can also use it to make something like a language translator. There are just many possibilities. So you guys let me know in the comment section what you are going to do with this, or what you wish us to do in the future using this technology, and what you have learned so far, guys. So guys, thanks for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, kindly consider subscribing and liking this video, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.